Welcome into Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast presented by BetMGM. Brendan Glasheen, joined by Sean Zerillo and BJ Cunningham for Friday, May 17th. Best bets. You can hear our best bets episodes every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday during the MLB season. So subscribe to the podcast if you have not done so already, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also find the video version of the pod over on the Action Network YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Before we jump into the slate, I want to remind you that the WNBA season is here. It's our basketball podcast. Buckets has a spinoff show completely focused on the W. Buckets, WNBA. Episodes drop every Tuesday and Friday. So if you enjoy watching and betting the W, you're new to the W, go subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As we teased last week, we're switching up our Payoff Pitch records. This is going to take me a few weeks just to say it out loud myself. I was just telling the guys here, just getting used to the new record time it's only a couple hours of the day, but it just does mess with the brain cells. Also, having baseball on, that's different because there's normally not a game on at 10 o'clock in the morning when we normally record. So we're actually here Thursday the 16th, getting you set for Friday's episode. But the whole point being is when you wake up in the morning, which you'll be doing right now, it's there, ready to go before the late morning, early afternoon even gets underway. So we're looking at Friday's slate, full 14 gamer. Sean Zerillo, what are we looking at for a best bet for Friday?
Taking the Texas Rangers in both halves, projected them closer to minus 215 for the first 5 innings, minus 190 for the full game. And we'll see if Tyler Anderson can take more of my money. He's basically the same pitcher that he was last season per the underlying indicators. His strikeout minus walk rate is around 8.5% over the past 2 seasons. His expected ERA has been in the high fours, 4.72 this year, 4.9 last year. But the big difference is the batting average on balls in play and the strand rate. He's sitting at 82% strand rate this season, 223 batting average on balls in play. Career rates for those, 286 batting average on balls in play and a 72% strand rate. Both of those are around where the major league average is, around 290 and 72% respectively. So been very fortunate stranding the runners that have gotten on base, been very fortunate limiting balls in play from becoming hits. And the Angels are not a good defensive team, 25th in defensive runs saved this season. They're also 29th in terms of base running value. That is a massive advantage for Texas, not only in this game, but also in this series. They're a much, much better defensive team, and they're also significantly better on the base pass too. They also just have a much better plate approach and the much better position player group too. But I just project Andrew Heaney as a substantially better pitcher than Anderson. As I said, Anderson's expected indicators in the high fours, even the low fives in terms of his projections. Heaney rocking a 3.8 expected ERA this season. Had a big decline last year when he first came over to the Rangers, pitched really well with the Dodgers. Rangers signed him to that contract. Numbers completely fell apart. But he's bounced back this season, and he's kind of always underachieved relative to his underlying indicators throughout his career. He always has indicators around 4 and pitches to an ERA about a quarter to a half run higher. But that said, I still make him about a half run to a full run better than Anderson in this matchup, and Texas substantial advantages everywhere else. So first 5, I'd bet to about minus 195 and full game up to minus 175.
Excellent. Very good. BJ Cunningham, best bet for Friday. And should be noted, too, what I'm actually looking forward to doing with these Thursday night records is we know there are not many games on Thursdays. It's normally an off day, a travel day. So I know that factors in a lot of times to, not in all cases, but in some cases it factors into both of your handicaps based on bullpen rest and how it sets up with the extra off day. So, BJ, you've actually got something with a team that is playing tonight.
Yeah, and my bet I don't think will really affect anything that's happening tonight. It's Phillies team total over 4.5 at minus 105 against the Nationals. This is a really bad matchup for Jake Irvin, the National starter. This season, he has overperformed 3.5 ERA, 4.7 expected ERA. And that 4.7 expected ERA, that's where he's projected to be around a 4.8 type of pitcher for the remainder of the season based on all the projection models. But if you dive deeper into Jake Irvin, you'll see that he basically only throws 2 pitches, a fastball and a curveball, and both of them are drastically overperforming. The fastball he throws about 40% of the time. 80% of his fastballs are in the middle or upper part of the zone. He doesn't have much velocity. He averages around 94 miles per hour on his fastball. The Phillies this season have the 6th best expected weighted on base average, about 340 against fastballs up in the zone. His curveball, the weighted on base average allowed is 224, but the expected weighted on base average allowed is 325. So about 100 points higher in terms of what he's actually allowed to what he's expected to. And the Phillies have the 3rd best expected weighted on base average against curveballs. So if he's going to live up in the zone, it's not really the best of matchup here against a Phillies team that can hit the ball up in the zone. He also struggles against left-handed hitters. And although the Phillies only have 4 left-handed hitters they put in their lineup, 3 of their best hitters are lefties, and Bryson Stott, Kyle Schwarber, and Bryce Harper. So with Zach Wheeler being on the mound, I know he got blew up in his last start, but he's been generally one of the best starting pitchers in baseball. The Nationals are one of the worst teams against fastballs and singers, which is what Wheeler throws 60% of the time. I'm not sure the Nationals are going to hold up their end of the bargain by taking the over 7.5. So instead, I'm targeting the Phillies over 4.5 at -105.
All right, very good. Phillies and Nats tomorrow, 6:40. One of the first few games you'll get tomorrow, besides the Cubs. Cubs are at 2:20 at Wrigley tomorrow, with Paul Skeens pitching in his first Cubs afternoon game. Let's go to Fade the Public. Let's discuss the Yankees and White Sox. New York getting a ton of attention. 97% of the bets, 99% of the cash on the Yankees over the White Sox in that game tomorrow. Mike Clevinger pitches for the White Sox. Nestor Cortez for the Yankees. Zerillo, any value on Clevinger and the White Sox?
No, I'm going to take the Yankees here in the first 5 innings. Specifically, I made their first 5 line about -280, their full game line about -240, and their price is sitting around -240 in either half. I just think it should be adjusted slightly higher for the first 5 innings because I think the White Sox bullpen is better than Mike Clevinger. Clevinger has had a strikeout minus walk rate of about 7% over the past 2 seasons. That's about half of the major league average, substantially worse. He's sitting at 3% through 2 starts this season, and his velocity is down. Obviously, it's a little limited sample, but his velocity and his pitch modeling metrics are both down relative to last year. He had 100 stuff plus last year, despite very poor results. He's down to 87 this season. So I think we might be seeing a worse version of Mike Clevinger, or at least the fact that he got a late start to the season may not be fully informed yet. On the other end, Nestor Cortez pitching a lot better this year than he did last year. In fact, he has a 2.8 expected ERA. 2 years ago, when he was really performing well, 2.7 expected ERA. So I think Nestor's gotten back to limiting hard contact, found his arm slot, seems to be pitching healthy, and that seems to be the most important thing for him. He really wasn't healthy for the majority of last season. So make the Yankees -280 for the first 5 innings, would bet them up to -250. Don't have to lay a substantial bet on that, but to win at least a quarter of a unit. And we'll find ways to keep betting against Mike Clevinger because I think he's very much with the replacement level arms. There's a number of those on the White Sox staff, on the Rockies staff, but certainly ranks as one of the worst pitchers in my model at this point.
Total for this one, BJ's at 8.5. Any way you might play this from a side or a total perspective?
Brendan, this is not going to shock you, but the White Sox this season are the worst defensive team in baseball by defensive runs saved. They are dead last in terms of xFIP in their bullpen. They're worst team in baseball in terms of weighted on base average against left-handed pitching. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very difficult to get behind anything involving the White Sox team in this match. And like Sean said, Nestor Cortez has been pitching really well this season, 2.8 expected ERA. I have this projected right around where it is. So I just don't have any interest in backing the White Sox unless Garrett Crochet is on the mound.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. The White Sox stink.
Crochet days, though, are still a thing.
Yeah, he's awesome.
First 5 line at -150 yesterday, closed all the way at -170, -175, -180. The market is very much still aligned with Garrett Crochet. He has the best pitch modeling metrics in the AL, one of the best strikeout minus walk rates in the AL. So there was a little blip with Crochet for a few starts, but he's right back to pitching like the best pitcher in the American League. And it would be odd if the White Sox ended up with the AL Cy Young, but he's very much a possibility at this point.
He's top 5 in strikeouts, too. I mean, who would have had him beginning of the season to lead the league in strikeouts?
Yeah, he looked good. He looked good Wednesday in a shutout win. I think he's next slated to pitch on Tuesday in Toronto
He looked good, but he was in trouble a few times, and he escaped through that trouble. So, good pitchers do get out of jams. That's why we talk about strand rate a lot, and pitchers who are able to defy their strand rates relative to league average. But that said, he was in trouble a few times in that start. It wasn't an easy first 5 win. He definitely made me sweat it a few times.
Yeah, Nationals left 9 guys on base in the 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he got the strikeouts when he needed them. But hey, like when you have the stuff, you ramp it up a little bit. His command was a little bit off. They weren't getting like big base hits against them or hitting the ball hard, but he was walking guys and the command was a little spotty, and then he was getting the strikeouts when he needed them. So good pitchers pitch through trouble, but he'll get hit at some point.
All right. Well, there's a little positivity in the White Sox.
He looks great.
Let's take a look at underdogs for this 14-game slate. Again, Friday, May 17th. Zerillo, we're looking at the board here. Is there any edge perhaps on a dog for tomorrow?
I've discussed the fact that I'm betting favorites obviously more this year.
Yeah.
But I did bet a couple of dogs on Thursday, and I'm going to be betting a few more on Friday. And one of them, BJ, I saw had put in the sheet. So I just went ahead and make it a consensus underdog since I like them all equally. The Colorado Rockies, for me, I would bet down to about plus 140. I projected their line closer to plus 125. I'm curious to see where BJ has them projected to. I would imagine we're in a pretty similar spot, but I love Kyle Harrison at home. I've talked about it a lot this year. He has a 4 expected FIP at home throughout his career, 3.9, actually 525 on the road. And it's not all the home run issue because he has a fly ball rate around 50%. He's a guy who gives up a ton of fly balls. Oracle Park is going to suppress home runs with all those fly balls he gives up. Road Park's not going to be as generous, but it's really his strikeout minus walk rate. He's physically pitching much better at home. His strikeout minus walk rate is double at home versus on the road. So nothing to do with Kyle Harrison, more so to do with thinking that Ryan Feltner might be sneaky good. 5.2 ERA this season, hiding a lot of good stuff that he's doing under the hood. 3.23 expected ERA, 3.8 expected FIP. He's just been unlucky. A 346 batting average on balls in play, a 64% strand rate. The pitch modeling metrics say that he's an above average arm, 100 stuff plus, 102 location plus. So high on Ryan Feltner. I like Kyle Harrison, have not downgraded him whatsoever. In fact, I do upgrade him just the touch every time he's at home. But I think Ryan Feltner is much better than the betting market is giving him credit for. And the Rockies are also red hot right now. I believe they've won 8 in a row. So rolling with Colorado to keep it going.
Go ahead, BJ.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. The wind will be blowing out 10 miles per hour in San Francisco on Friday night, which for a guy like Harrison, like Sean mentioned, who's an extreme fly ball pitcher, generally not the best of matchups. Colorado's top 10 against lefties in home run to fly ball rate. I know that Harrison has improved. Like he started out the season, I believe, through his first 5 starts, he'd already given up 4 home runs, and it seemed like he was going to continue to have that home run problem. But he hasn't given a home run since in his last 6 starts. So he's generally been very good. But the Rockies, like Sean mentioned, they're red hot. They're also very good against left-handed fastballs. 345 expected weighted on base average this season. So, and like you said with Ryan Feltner, the off-speed pitches, his slider and his changeup from a stuff plus perspective has really improved, and he's just been really unlucky. So, not sure. I mean, he's obviously improved, and the starting pitching matchup I think is a lot closer than people think. The Giants have been very, very average against right-handed pitching as well, and over the last 30 days only have a 91 weighted runs created plus. So I'm with Sean. Rockies.
I kind of lean over there too. I'm not sure about UBJ. I had this total projected closer to about 7.8, 7.9. So I was thinking about taking like an over 7.5 at minus 105. There were some 7s when this opened initially. Do you lean over too?
Yes, I have 8.1 projected for this game.
Yeah, so I may jump on that as well, but definitely Rockies.
All right, Colorado right now down to plus 145 for Friday as we record here. Is there a price point, Sean, that you played it to for the Rockies?
Plus 140 is my cutoff. I made this closer to plus 125. They won 7 in a row, so they're going for 8 on Friday.
Okay, a couple more before we go. Zerillo, you got a couple looks, some first 5s, and you do like some underdogs, some other underdogs for tomorrow.
Yeah, the other first 5, the Mets first 5, minus 120. Christian Scott, my boy, I have not gotten to talk about him on this podcast, but very stuffy, and I really like his attitude on the mound, his demeanor, going right after hitters, throwing aggressively up in the zone. 108 stuff plus, 120 on his splitter, 120 on his slider. The fastball, some reason, rates below average. I believe it's a 94 stuff plus, but he's very aggressive with it up in the zone. So I think it plays a little bit better than it actually rates. Jesus Luzardo, one of my favorite pitchers for the past few seasons. He's been dealing with an elbow injury this season. His velocity is down. His stuff plus numbers are down. I think this is his second start since coming back off the IL. And there was a big drop in his stuff plus numbers in his last start relative to earlier in the season. So Mets first 5 up to minus 120 may turn into chaos in the bullpens. I also need to see how the Mets bullpen plays out on Thursday before I end up locking in a full game bet there. The Astros plus 106, like that down to about minus 107. Hunter Brown's stuff plus numbers have not dropped off relative to last year. He's been at 104 in both seasons. Obviously, the results have declined significantly. I think there's some evidence that he may have been tipping pitches in some of the starts where he got lit up, including that start against the Royals, which was one of the worst in recent memory, where he got bombed in the first inning. So the Astros to minus 107. Brown's been a little bit better of late, and there's really no evidence to suggest that he's anything worse than what he was last season under the hood. The Diamondbacks plus 140, and also the under 8. Tarek Skubal, obviously elite, 2.1 expected ERA, 107 pitching plus rating, ranks among the leaders in pretty much every statistical category this season. So it's nothing to do with Skubal, but I actually like Ryan Nelson quite a bit and think he may be underrated. 105 stuff plus, 106 location plus, both up from last season, 101 and 104 respectively. He has 3 pitches, his fastball, his slider, his changeup, that all rank 112 or better, all pull 112 or better stuff plus rating. So the results have not found him yet, but I do think Ryan Nelson has pretty substantial upside if he figures it out. The ball coming out of his hand really pops on the pitch modeling metrics. So make the first 5 line closer to plus 150, but I make the full game line closer to about plus 115. So the Diamondbacks to plus 125 and the under 8 to minus 102. And then lastly, the Braves under 8.5. This might have moved too far, but if you can get minus 110 at 8.5 with the wind blowing in at Truist Park tomorrow, Max Fried pitching really well of late. But the weather, the wind in Truist Park has really been proving a difference late. And also I've just like managed to cash a few unders there where the Braves have put up 7-run innings, in the first 5 innings, and then nobody scores at the end of the game. Chris Sale's done that a couple times. So ball's playing a little weird at Truist Park. The Braves offense playing a little weird, and don't really know what's going on with Ronald Acuna Jr. either. He's definitely dealing with something. He sat out randomly yesterday. His metrics are down across the board this season. And if he's not 100%, you do have to downgrade this Braves offense, and you have to downgrade the totals on a daily basis.
They're just scoring early and often, and they clock out as a team.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's been going on here with the Braves.
Chris Sale looks so good, though. Wow. Just incredible.
Yep. Would have been nice to have him here, BJ. But
that's okay,
Brendan.
Yeah, but you think about it, and it's like they implemented this
guy.
whole pitching plan, and it's like, what would they have fixed with him, right? Yeah. It's just health.
Yeah.
So
he's old, right? We're trying to get younger. We're trying to get.
I know. I'm just like the way Andrew Bailey has changed the philosophy. A lot of what Sale's been doing kind of fits that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of the irony in it. But you're right. It's the health.
I mean,
BJ,
Brendan, I came on
too.
the podcast last year, and I tried to do the song and dance of how we're fine with Corey Kluber and Chris Sale, and it didn't work out. Okay, they got hurt. So
yeah, you're right. Comes around full circle.
Exactly. So I'm happy. I'm happy that he's having a great year in Atlanta. But let's be honest, if he was in Boston, he'd probably be injured right now.
Yeah. So I know I mentioned at the top of the podcast we're promoting Buckets, the new WNBA version of Buckets, and Caitlin Clark's been the talk of the WNBA, and Paul Skeens, number 1 pick, Pittsburgh Pirates. He sure lived up to his billing in his first appearance. I know it wasn't it was a weird game. The Pirates did win, but the long rain delay, Skeens and his strikeout prop was moving throughout the course of the first from Friday into Saturday. He ended up with 7, so that cashed over. BJ, you do like the Pirates tomorrow in Chicago to get the day started. Paul Skeens strikeout prop set at 6.5 against Kyle Hendricks and the Cubs.
So, I mean, this is crazy. Skeens threw 33 fastballs in his start. He averaged 100.1 miles per hour on those fastballs, which is utterly ridiculous and insane. We knew that was going to happen, but just seeing it for the first time at the major league level is crazy. The Cubs this season, I know they just faced him, but They have the second most whiffs and a bottom 5 expected weighted on base average against fastballs 98 miles per hour or faster on the season. So I think Skeens will be fine once again, even though he did give up a couple runs there. Kyle Hendricks is still pitching in the majors. He did face the Pirates last Sunday, only gave up 2 hits and 1 run, but he walked 4 guys. His control's been a little bit off this season, and in that start, his xFIP was closer to 5. He did get lit up a little bit. He just got kind of fortunate. And if you go through, Hendricks, he's never had any velocity. Every single pitch is under 90 miles per hour. And his location hasn't been elite comparatively to what it's been in years past. His sinker and his changeup is getting hit around. So he's not getting that elite ground ball rate that he has. He was at his peak, he was closer to 50%. Now he's down around 46% right now. But he's giving up more hard contact, and the Cubs bullpen is not elite whatsoever. So I think generally the Pirates only used 2 long relievers on Wednesday. We're obviously recording this during their game against the Cubs. So unless one of their relievers gets completely tired out, I don't generally believe that the bullpens will be an issue here. So I like the Pirates at -104 because I think there's a significant starting pitching edge for Pittsburgh.
This is a matchup between the 2 starting pitchers with the highest and the lowest average fastball velocity in baseball this season. Obviously, only a 1-start sample for Skeens, but 100.1 miles an hour average on his fastball. Jose Soriano is the next closest starting pitcher at 98.5. So 1.6 mile an hour advantage for Skeens. And then Kyle Hendricks, among the 229 starting pitchers who've taken the mound this season, last at 88 miles an hour. Tyler Alexander, 88.9 miles an hour. So a full tick above him. That's just incredible. First versus last, first versus 229th in fastball velocity. 2 guys doing things in complete opposite ways and maybe getting complete opposite results. We'll see. But I think it's just worth mentioning at that velocity level, Skeens just has such a high or such a wide margin of error. You can get away with a lot more at 102 than you can at 88, obviously. But as he ages, we'll see how that skill set plays, because he's going to start losing ticks of velocity as he gets older. The secondary stuff becomes more important. The command stuff becomes more important. So he's not refined yet, but his floor is so high because the stuff is so nasty.
He's 21, Sean. He's got a lot of time. He's got a lot of time before he's old.
It's crazy.
I admire the looking ahead to when he's older.
Yeah.
How about, I think kind of a key to your handicap, BJ, I'm just, for what it's worth, I might add, like Justin Steele wasn't good again tonight. So that doesn't help the cause for the Cubs and their bullpen, etc. Like this is a kind of I think it's last 2 starts now for Steele, 5 home runs, including the 2 allowed tonight.
The Pirates smash lefties. They have a huge split between righties and lefties, and I think that's why I'm probably not on Pittsburgh. They're 30th against righties this season, 11th against lefties last I checked. So I bet on them. I bet on the Pirates both starts against Steele. I'm off of them tomorrow against Skeens. I was actually closer to betting the Cubs, if anything. So I don't want to bet against Paul Skeens, but it's probably Cubs or pass for me.
Well, it's probably going to get there too, because there is still a -104 out there, and the rest of the market are about -115. So by the time you're listening to this, you might see the Pirates at -125, and I'll just be flat honest. I only have the Pirates at -116. So I would generally not play anything above -110 on the Pirates. So if you wake up tomorrow and this is -125, -130, I would not bet that.
And they're going to be such a public side tomorrow again.
Exactly.
So I'd imagine it goes that way.
BJ, correct. I'm sorry if you said this. I didn't catch it. Any quick thought on just the strikeout prop for Skeens tomorrow?
No, I don't. 7 strikeouts in his first start. Again, it's hard, right? Because we don't know what the Pirates' usage on him is going to be this season. They've generally limited him in AAA, and I don't know if that's going to be the case here in the majors. So if he gets through 5 innings and faces a certain amount of batters, they may pull him at 6 strikeouts. But I'd have to go through and do the math to find the projection on it. But I believe the Cubs are on the higher side in terms of strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. So if you want to bet the over, I wouldn't fault anybody. right? I wouldn't fault you at all, but I'd have to take a deeper look into the math behind it to figure out a decent projection on it before I.
Yeah, the shadows at Wrigley during the day kind of messes with some things too. I may actually bet his over on walks. I think the fact that he's facing the same team twice in his first two starts, the stuff is so nasty. Like, even if you put on the bat on the ball, what are you really going to do with it? So I could see the Cubs taking a very patient approach, trying to make him throw strikes. They were swinging at a lot of balls, a lot of pitches outside of the zone. So I think it's possible they just like don't swing the bat and try to take a bunch of walks and manufacture runs that way. So if it's over 1.5 walks, at a decent number, over 2.5 at plus money, I'll probably consider betting that.
Interesting. All right. 1.5. I'm seeing minus 170 out there in the market.
Wind is going to be slightly blowing in as well. Not that bad, around 7 miles per hour, I believe. So shouldn't have, obviously at Wrigley is the most drastic park in terms of wind, but shouldn't have too much of an effect on either of these pitchers.
I should say it looks like they're keeping him to around 80 pitches. That seems to be the number at the moment. They let Jones throw 91 on Thursday, but he's obviously a bit further into this season. They didn't even let Skeens go 5 innings until his final start in AAA. So yeah, they're keeping him at 80 pitches or less for now. Maybe as the season goes along, he goes a bit deeper, but for now it's about 80.
And I will say his projections on his like K per 9 rate or K percentage on Fangraphs are completely all over the map. You have like Steamers on the higher side at 11.5. You have like ATC who's at 8.8, the Bats at 9.7, and even Zips is at 7.1, which I don't believe that, but it's all over the map. So it's like Sean said, there's a very wide range of outcomes that can happen with Skeens, but it's very fun to watch.
Sure is. Paul Skeens tomorrow at 2:20, facing the Cubs once again with Kyle Hendricks on the mound. All right, gents, I think that's it. There you go. There's your slate breakdown, best bets episode, payoff pitch for May 17th, Friday slate. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app to find BJ, Sean Zerillo, our other Action Network contributors, and what they bring to the table as well. Follow them throughout the course of the weekend. And throughout the entire baseball season. We also have our Action Network Discord channel. There is a link to said channel in the episode description. Sean Kerner is often there providing K-props. Some of our other guys check it out as well. Maybe Kerner will be in there at some point to talk about Paul Skeens if he likes the 6.5. And assuming it stays at 6.5 by tomorrow afternoon.
I'd bet a lot of money that if Kerner does have a bet, it'll be on the under.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Couldn't imagine Sean Kerner projecting over 6.5 for Paul Skeens at 80 pitches. That would be a shocker to me. Yeah.
Our next episode comes your way first thing Monday morning, so be on the lookout for Sean Zerillo, BJ Cunningham, Brendan Glasheen. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast presented by BetMGM. Best of luck. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.